Hey guys, Billy here. I'm a multi-gladiator hunter and this video explains in some detail how you can beat warriors as a hunter. It'll also be part of a series where I do a guide on how to beat every class in the game. If there's anything you'd want me to change or like to see in this series, let me know, and don't forget to subscribe to ensure that you won't miss out on any of the hunter content. You can also catch me live on Twitch at twitch.tv/Billybobbs and you can join my Discord. I'll put the links to both of these in the description. I hope you enjoy the video. Firstly, I will go over the general game plan that you want to have versus warriors, and then I'll break it down explaining how each of their abilities work. The main idea versus warriors is that you want to be as far away from them as possible, as if they're not next to you, then they're unlikely to be able to do much damage at all. There are a few ways to stay away from a warrior, and these are Concussive Shot, Feign Death, Cheetah, Freedom, and Chimeral Shot. The most important ability that you have versus warriors is Concussive Shot, and this will slow them by 50% for 6 seconds, and then whenever you Cobra Shot, it'll increase the duration of the slow on them by 3 seconds. This is extremely useful, as I don't really have many ways of getting it off, apart from a couple that I will mention later on in this video. So if you have this on permanently, they're going to have a harder time getting to you, meaning you'll have an easier time staying alive. Chimeral Sting is also extremely useful, as this will slow them by 90%, then silence them, and then reduce their damage and healing. Then also you can use Feign Death, which can be used to get out of a Sphere of Bastion, or to remove their slows like Piercing, Howl, or Hamstring. You then also have Cheetah, which will increase your movement speed by 90% for 5 seconds, and then 30% for another 9 seconds. And then finally you also have Freedom, and if you run Kindred Beasts, then it's on a 23-second cooldown, and this will grant you a Freedom, similar to a Paladin's, for 4 seconds. The talents that you want to be running as a hunter into warriors are Kindred Beasts, Chimeral Sting, and Roar of Sacrifice. You could probably change out the Chimeral Sting for a Knock Trap on certain maps, or Survival Tactics if you prefer it. However, these are the 3 that I run with, as I find these work the best. These normal talents here, so Animal Companion, Scent of Blood, Camouflage, Thrill of the Hunt, Post Haste, Stomp, and Aspect of the Beast, are all pretty much what you should run against almost every comp, apart from some comps where you run Binding Shot. You can run Binding Shot against Warrior, but I much prefer the Post Haste to allow you to kite better. The reason you run Roar Sacrifice is that the Warrior will reach you eventually, so that when they do, this is extremely good when they pop cooldowns, as it will stop you taking crits, so therefore you take a lot less damage. Chimeral Sting I really like because it's basically a root, as it's a 90% reduced movement speed for 3 seconds. They can only remove it using Bladestorm or getting like a Freedom from a Paladin, say. So this is extremely good and extremely useful to get away from warriors. And then finally, Kindred Beasts, as this makes your Master's Call a 23-second cooldown instead of 45, allowing you to remove their slows much more often and have an easier job kiting them. Here are all the warrior abilities on the screen now, and then I will go into them one by one to tell you how to counter them. So, as you've just seen on the screen, the main 10 abilities that warriors have that you need to be aware of and know what they do are Bladestorm, Charge, Condemn, Intimidating Shout, Intervene, Heroic Leap, War Banner, Spell Reflection, Piercing Howl, and Spear of Bastion. I'll now go into them one by one and explain how to deal with them and what they do. Okay, so now we'll be talking about Bladestorm. So here I'm facing a warrior, and I've got him slowed by 50% with Concussive Shot. If he now does Bladestorm, it will remove the slow, and as while he's Bladestorming, he's immune to all CC. It would be pointless to try and stun him or trap him, so it's just good to walk away. And then when he's out of the Bladestorm, you need to apply Concussive Shot again so that you can keep the distance from the warrior. Okay, so now we'll be talking about Charge, and Charge is mainly a gap closer, and it can be used between 8 and 25 yards. So the main way to counter this is that you just want to save Disengage for when they're going to charge you. So I'm fighting a warrior here, and when he charges me, I will then disengage away. And this means that he cannot connect to me, and I can also slow him, and it means he either has to use another movement ability to connect to me, or he'll be too far away to deal any damage. Okay, next we'll be talking about Condemn, and Condemn also comes with a charge if the warrior uses the talent Sudden Death. And what it does is that it deals a large amount of damage, but it's only usable against you when you're above 80% or below 35%, as it directly replaces the warrior's execute button. So there are a few ways to work around this, however a lot of the time it is going to be unavoidable, and that is to try and stay more than 15 yards away from the warrior so that they cannot keep charging you, and you can do this by either disengaging, using Cheetah, using Freedom, or other movement abilities, such as a Priest's Grip. You can also try to keep yourself between 35 and 80%, which means they would not be able to use Condemn. However, this often isn't realistic to be able to do. So now we'll be talking about Intervene, and this basically protects an ally from taking physical damage for 6 seconds. So for example, if this warrior then intervened this guard, and I was attacking the guard would take no physical damage for 6 seconds as long as he remained within 10 yards of the warrior. Additionally, Intervene will also stop physical kicks such as the Hunter's Counter Shot or Feral's Skull Bash, but it does not work against magical kicks such as the Warlock's Spell Lock and the Mage's Counter Spell. One other thing with Intervene is that there's a conduit called Safeguard, and this can reduce the damage taken of the target by 14% as well. The way to counter Intervene is that you need to get the warrior away from the target that they've intervened. You can either do this by using, say, a Priest Shining Force, a Knock Trap, or just running around the pillar so that the warrior will follow you, or they won't be able to hit you. Now we'll just go on to Intimidating Shout, and this is basically an AoE fear which fears you for 6 seconds, 5 if you're running Relentless. And as you can see here, there are 2 ways to counter this. Firstly, you can use Bestial Wrath to get your pets out of the CC so that you're able to sack yourself, or you could pre-move your pets away so that the Intimidating Shout cannot hit both you and your pets. Next is Heroic Leap. Heroic Leap is similar to Charge, as in it's mainly used as a gap closer, however it has a slightly longer range between 8 and 40 yards with a 45-second cooldown. And what it does is you leap through the air like that, and then when you land in that area you'll do damage. Heroic Leap is a good gap closer for warriors, but there are some ways to counter it. For example, as soon as they leap you, if you make sure to put a concussive shot on them or a chimeral sting, then you'll just be able to walk away from them. Also, if they've still got charge, you shouldn't use disengage just yet, but then when they charge you, you can then disengage and then you'll be able to gain some more distance. Now I'll talk about War Banner, and this ability is extremely powerful if used correctly. So for example, if the warrior uses it now, it's on a 1.5 minute cooldown, and what it does is it increases their movement speed and reduces the duration of all incoming CC. So if I try to trap him now, instead of being the normal 8 seconds, it will be 4 seconds. This can be extremely powerful. For example, if you're trying to CC the healer and you stun the warrior, if the warrior trinkets and then banners, then you're unlikely to be able to kill the banner and trap, so you might either have to throw a half trap or try to kill the banner and risk the stun running out and not being able to hit the trap. There is one way to counter this, and that is that the banner only has a 30-yard range. So if the healer is out of the range, then you are going to be able to do a full trap. However, when the warrior banners, it's likely that the healer will be fairly close to him. Another ability which warriors have is Spell Reflection, and this makes the next spell that is cast on the warrior get reflected. So for example, when the warrior uses it here, it lasts for 5 seconds, and if I trap, it then means that the trap is going to be on me. If he does this a lot, then he's going to be able to catch up to me and gain pressure. There's also a legendary which they can run, which means Spell Reflection will apply to a nearby ally. The way to counter Spell Reflection is to have your healer dot the target with the Spell Reflection, and this will remove it as it will only reflect one spell, and then you'll be able to trap. The warriors then also have a slow called Piercing Howl, and this will snare all enemies within 12 yards and reduce their movement speed by 70% for 6 seconds. That is a very good slow, so the ideal counterplay to this is to use Master's Call to remove it from yourself so you can walk at a normal movement speed. Also try to keep a concussive shot up on the warrior so that you're able to just walk away from them and so that they cannot gain any distance and start dealing damage to you. Another ability which you should be aware of is Spear of Bastion, which is only usable by Kyrian warriors, and this basically puts a circle on the floor that when it lands you'll be tethered, so it means you will not be able to move out of it, and it will also deal damage immediately and then damage over 4 seconds. Because it tethers you as well, it means that you cannot kite away from the warrior whilst you're in the spear. Therefore, it is very important that you know how to counter this. And the way to remove the debuff is to feign death, as then it will mean that you're no longer tethered so you can run away. If you do not have feign death when they use the spear, this is okay, but it's likely that you're going to need to use Turtle or some other cooldown to be able to live the damage, as the warrior damage as well as the damage from the spear combined will be very high. On the screen now, you'll see the talents which a Kyrian warrior will run into a hunter. The main thing to note here are the War Banner for the traps and the Warbringer. The Warbringer will make charge do slightly more damage, and it'll also mean that when they charge, they will also root you for 2 seconds. This means that it's very hard for them to miss the spear, so that it's even more important for you to save feign death so that you can get out of the spear. Here are the talents for a Venthyr warrior, and the main thing of note here is a death sentence, which means they can use Condemn from a 15-yard range, and whenever they use it from a range, then it will charge to you. That's all for this video, and I hope you enjoyed. If there is anything else you'd want to see added to the next guide in this series, please let me know in the comments. This will be a massive help as it will allow me to make these guides as informative and as helpful for you as possible. Thanks all for watching, I hope you have a great day, peace out.